Hey guys, this is your Cloud Strategist channel. I'm Sridhar. In this video, I'm going to give you some guidance on how to identify IoT opportunities among your customers. If you are a customer, probably use this methodology to identify ways by which you can improve processes and handle critical resources within the organization. So let's get started, and I'm going to use a hypothetical scenario here. So let's imagine a very large apartment where a number of families live, and the apartment is protected by a magnificent door. That's a special door which protects them from intruders, even from corona. So the manufacturer of the door has some specifications. So they say the door needs replacement, or the parts need replacement after 24,000 operations, the number of times they open and close. And also they mentioned that they need prior notification in terms of ordering parts as well as getting their appointment. So we need some way by which we can identify when the door can potentially fail, because we can't afford to leave that open or in a faulty condition. So let's imagine the apartment and the very large door. There are a number of influencing factors that are important for this door. That could include the hinge that operates the door, the lock that operates the door, and as well as other external factors like number of people going in and out, special events that could happen that could increase or surge the number of operations that can happen in the door. So assuming the manufacturer says that the door can potentially fail at, let's say, 24,000 operations of the door, and it can also fail somewhere between 24,000 and 28,000 operations. Now, having said that, let's assume the average number of operations are about 2,000 operations per month. That leaves about 2 years of operation before which the door needs a replacement or service. But based on various reasons, right, the door can actually be overutilized. It could be a seasonal event which increases the number of people going in and out. It could be the weather conditions that can reduce the number of operations on the door, and that's where the manufacturer says somewhere between 24,000 and 28,000. Now, how do we solve this problem? Because it's a critical component for the entire apartment, right? So few things that can be done. So there could be a number of sensors that could be deployed to look at what is the hinge operation. Is there a wear and tear that's going on? How the lock is operating? The number of times the door is opened and closed, and the weather condition could be another parameter that's coming in. And we can also think of seasons where the operations can go up, probably a summer time, probably a festival time, right? Now, all of those inputs can be read through a number of sensors or number of applications. All that data will be useful for the apartment members to identify how many times the door has been really operated, because nobody is going to manually do this. It's humanly not possible. So the automation system is going to give them real-time information on the number of count the door has been operated. Now that data, when stored, can give them enough time and notice for them to go reach out to the maintenance vendor so that they can get that fixed even before the failure can happen. At the same time, the data can help them to visualize and predict something like a failure or a maintenance requirement in the future. Now, how is that going to look like? Now, all the sensory information goes through this, and something called a real-time processing happens, and that's what is going to indicate on the number of operations happening. Now, all this data can be potentially saved in a storage from which we could do predictive analysis using machine learning and identify failure scenarios in future, because with so many number of factors, it's humanly impossible for someone to come out with a logic based on which someone could predict a failure. So that can be best done using machine learning algorithms. Now, with that operations, you have enough time to safeguard the entire apartment before a failure happens. With more and more learning every year, probably this gets even more better in the years to come. Now that's a story and is a hypothetical scenario. But think of your customers. Every customer business has a critical component like the apartment door. And there are a number of influencing factors that can affect that critical component or components. So if you have to talk to your customers and help them make their business better, identify that apartment door in that business and see how IoT kind of a solution can help in predicting and rectifying these scenarios. Now, that's an imaginary situation. You can potentially think of any industry where there could be that kind of a critical component like the apartment door in any industry. It could be a manufacturing industry where they are manufacturing commodities. Number of machineries could be the actual apartment door in that scenario. You can think of a hospital where a critical patient could be that apartment door scenario. Think of aged care where the elderly people could be that critical apartment door that we need to make sure they are taken care of. Or it could be an education system. So go look for those scenarios and see how an IoT solution can help. To give you some more idea, I'm going to show you how this overlays on top of the solution that Microsoft has, right, in the solution architecture. Now, if you look at this diagram, all these IoT devices are any kind of sensory input that goes into that system, similar to the hinge operations, the lock operation, the weather conditions, the number of people going in and out. All of those are inputs coming in the form of sensory inputs into the system. This gets fed into the IoT solution platform through an IoT gateway, and then probably there is a need for data transformation because you want to make sure that data is in a form which will help you to analyze and predict and identify insights from that. Now, when it is processed in real time using stream processing or stream analytics, which is a service in Azure, you consider that like a warm path. You're doing analysis on real time. Probably the number of average door operations within a month, when it exceeds 2000, you're going to see failure much earlier than 2 years, as in that scenario. So that could be a kind of an output that you get out of the real-time operation. At the same time, those data that goes into the long-term storage could be a data lake, could be a blob storage within Azure, is used for analysis around machine learning. Now, that business integration could be an order processing system which automatically sends information to the maintenance company, who would do an automatic order and take up an automatic appointment for a scenario where the door is getting closer to that 24,000 operation. You could do that in any of those scenarios. So that's a very quick view on how you can compare a simple scenario with any critical business and identify IoT opportunities. So always remember the apartment door, and that's a way by which you can identify opportunities for IoT within any critical business of your customer. So keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, please write that down or in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you again. Bye.